Just 3 months to go before the new 32-team FIFA Club World Cup. The Mexican club side, Leon, have been removed after failing to meet FIFA's criteria on multi-club ownership. Club Leon, who were due to play Chelsea, remember, and the Brazilians Flamengo, as well as Es Tunis from Tunisia in the group stages. So they're no longer in it, but it begs the question, who's going to jump in and replace them? Now, of course, almost inevitably, there is talk that the Saudis will take full advantage of this moment. Ben Jacobs, talkSPORT Saudi reporter, joins us live. Ben, good afternoon to you. What's the strength in this? Are clubs like Al Ittihad and Ronaldo's Al Nassr looking very closely at this?
Yeah, good afternoon, Jim. So the news I'm getting at the moment is that Lyon, should they fail in their appeal to be reinstated, will be replaced by a CONCACAF entrant. And if that proves to be the case, then it means that Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr or potentially Al Ittihad, who are possibly on course to win the Saudi Pro League, will not be able to enter the tournament. There may be a situation where Lyon end up appealing for so long that a last-minute entrant has to be found. And the truth is that FIFA can come up with whatever ranking system they like. But at the moment, it's focused on CONCACAF. And then there's a series of options, and we need about an hour to get into different permutations. So I'll be brief. 1, Lyon can appeal. If they're successful, easiest solution. Second of all, Lyon qualified by beating Los Angeles FC to win the 2023 CONCACAF Champions Cup. Maybe LAFC become the new club to enter because they were runners-up. You could use the rankings at the moment in CONCACAF. That would be Club America. But there's already 2 Mexican entrants, and that's the maximum. You could wait for the CONCACAF Champions Cup in 2025. Then there's a series of other possibilities, including, for example, LA Galaxy. LA Galaxy won the 2024 MLS Cup. Maybe you give it to them because of that. Columbus Crew, Philadelphia Union are also high in the rankings as well. And then there's Alajuelense, the Costa Rican side, who actually brought the litigation against Lyon, and they want a place in the Club World Cup as well. So there's many options at the moment, but it's not likely that Al Nassr will be one of them.
I see. Well, I mean, I should say, Simon, at this stage, Lyon, the reason that they have been kicked out is that they are also owned by the same lot that own Pachuca, who are in the Club World Cup as well. So 2-1 doesn't go, and quite simply, Club Lyon have now met their fate and they have exited stage left. It begs the question, though, and I don't know what Ben's taking on this. Simon, we saw what they did with Inter Miami. They crowbarred Messi into this tournament. Might they try and crowbar Ronaldo in and Al Nassr because they want the big names at the big tournament?
Well, I think Ben just explained that's unlikely, isn't it? I mean, the Messi phenomenon for American football is a different dynamic than perhaps the situ of the tournament, were in part the reasons why Inter Miami, as a result of winning the Supporters' Shield, I think it was, enabled them to be put in that position. And the fact that the tournament's held in America will have had the additional weight behind it. At some point, this will become more at play, but I don't think now. I think Ben's probably absolutely on the money with what they're going to try to achieve.
Do you think it's a bit harsh kicking Club Lyon out? So what if they're owned by the same group?
Well, then you get into the argument about integrity of the sport, don't you? I mean, this multi-club ownership model has always been compromised by the RB arguments.
Yeah.
You know, that has always been a situation where I find it difficult to understand how they can argue that is not a multi-club ownership model, yet they did and they allowed it. And obviously FIFA are taking a view on it. It is what it is. And people know what the governance is. They know what the governance is. And I mean, you've got the situation with Jim Ratcliffe, who laughably put his ownership model of Nice into trust.
Yeah.
So that ultimately he doesn't have the controlling influence over Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, they knew what they had to do. If the controlling influence argument is part and parcel of the multi-club ownership model, and you know that you've got to find a way around it, then you find a way around it. I mean, I know it's ridiculous to say that you should be finding a way around things.
Yeah.
But the multi-club argument is all about integrity of the sport, questioning the idea that 2 teams in a competition might be preferred one outcome for one side rather than the other.
Yeah.
And then you've got a compromised competition.
Ben, I know you're right across it. What does instinct tell you here? What do you think FIFA are going to end up doing?
I think it'll be a CONCACAF entrant, and it wouldn't surprise me if they leave it to wait for the winner of the CONCACAF Champions Cup to add intrigue to that. It ends only a week before the Club World Cup, and there's 7 of the 8 entrants that haven't qualified go on to win that. It's only Inter Miami, the team that have already qualified. If they win it, you just give it to the runners-up. That's one possibility. And then the other thing is we shouldn't discount Lyon simply winning their appeal and being reinstated back in the tournament. And the final thing I'd say on Ronaldo, I wouldn't say it's likely, but it's a possibility, is remember, he's a free agent this summer. And although the expectation is that he will extend at Al Nassr, there could be a scenario where Ronaldo gets a short-term contract. He plays at the Club World Cup for any one of the 32 teams that end up qualifying for that tournament. He then ends that contract and then still goes back to Saudi Arabia and Al Nassr. So we might see a scenario where he's in the tournament, but I don't think Al Nassr will be there.
When it comes to Ronaldo, Danny, anything can happen.
I wouldn't surprise me because he's a draw.
Yeah.
It'd be great for the tournament. It's going to bring more eyes on it. If they can, they'll find a way.
Yeah.
And he'd probably love it.
What we do know, Ben, is that Trent Alexander-Arnold looks set to change Liverpool for Real Madrid. On the topic of Mo Salah, we'll leave Virgil van Dijk out of this discussion. On Mo Salah, are we right? The Saudi option is no longer on the table.
Yeah, the Saudis are very pessimistic about Mo Salah. Something dramatic would have to change. It's been clear for some time that Saudi wouldn't formally bid again for Mo Salah unless given encouragement. And the old financials on the table would simply be reignited from the Al Ittihad offer. Only thing that's changed is the club is now Al Hilal because they want Salah for the Club World Cup. But my understanding at the moment is that central deal makers who would negotiate this deal are not currently engaged with Salah at all. There's no offer. There's no active talks. Syed Al-Aziz, who was the vice chair of the Saudi Pro League, has left. Michael Emenalo, who's the sporting director and knows Mo Salah, is not engaged in any conversations at the moment. And Liverpool's belief is that Salah will stay in Europe, and this is why they're optimistic that they will get that extension over the line.
So, I mean, things beginning to become clearer, Simon. Trent off to Madrid. All but done. Salah now seemingly not off to Saudi Arabia, as many thought he would.
Well, I don't know if there's any clearer. I mean, I don't think there's any conversations to be had between Liverpool and Saudi because he's a free agent at the end of the season, so there's no necessity for them to be talking to Liverpool about anything. Whether they feel there's a timing issue and they want to see how it plays out in front of them, I don't know. I mean, I've always maintained that Mo Salah is at the peak of his powers now.
Yeah.
So if he wants to continue to be an elite footballer, then he's going to play in European football, and then Liverpool will potentially control that dynamic, because I've never liked the idea that Liverpool have to compete with Saudi money on the basis of what they'll pay, because the nuance around Mo Salah and all that value brings to Saudi Pro League with no transfer fee, being a Muslim, and all that characteristics add an enhanced value that would make the economics for Liverpool, irrespective of whether they have to buy a player to replace him if he goes, very unpalatable. You don't really want to see a player at this stage in the evolution of football getting paid £1 million a week in English football, because it has a ramification to other players in the dressing room.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, everybody goes up.
In view of what Ben's saying about Saudi no longer being on the table, Danny, are you more optimistic that he might stay with Liverpool?
No, I've been too long in the game to think that one.
So you think 2 out of 3 will go?
No, I'm not saying he's going to go or stay. I just don't know. I think him going to Saudi wouldn't surprise me if that come out tomorrow. But it also wouldn't surprise me if he signs a new deal. Nothing's going to surprise me on this one.
You think the Saudis would be back in anytime soon, Ben? If they were ever in at all, having said that?
Yeah, I think they were in for sure. And we know that the same central deal makers, when the club was Al Ittihad, made an actual offer to Liverpool of a total package of £150 million. Television rights deal in Saudi, domestic and international. New cycle is revealed this summer. So if you can negotiate Salah into that package, you can sell to Egypt in particular and have a lot of global appeal and bring revenue into the league. So there's no denying Saudi want Salah, but they simply haven't returned formally to negotiate with Salah because they still have not been given any encouragement. And my understanding is that if a deal for Salah and Saudi, which we can't 100% discount, of course, because things can change, but should that materialise, Michael Emenalo will be the one negotiating it. He's the one that has the relationship with Mo Salah. And at the moment, Michael Emenalo and central Saudi Pro League officials are not actively working on Salah, which means they think he's either going to stay at Liverpool or move elsewhere in Europe.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.